Every adventurer in Azeroth knows this sound. For many, it has become a symbol of annoyance and a punchline. Funny, simply clumsy fishmen with bulging eyes. But if you ask any guard in Stormwind or a peasant in Westfall, they won't be laughing. To the common folks of this world, Murlocs are a ruthless primal force. They are the plague of the coastlines. If you get too close to the water, a single gurgling cry will attract dozens of the creatures. And before you can even draw your blade, they'll tear you apart and drag you into the dark depths. Today, we're leaving the jokes aside to dive into the true history of the Murlocs. Where they came from, how they build their camps, and why their primitive appearance is the greatest deception in all of World of Warcraft lore. To understand Murlocs, we must start with their main mystery. Where did they come from? Unlike humans, dwarves, or orcs, their history isn't recorded in the ancient chronicles of the Titans. The famous explorer Bran Bronzebeard spent years studying their race and came to the conclusion that Murlocs are one of the oldest races in Azeroth. Their ancestors are believed to be the Gorlocs, reptilian creatures from the Sholazar Basin. But at some point in history, a portion of this race took to the ocean, adapting to the abyss. For millennia, Murlocs lived at the very bottom of the Great Sea, hidden from the eyes of surface dwellers. They built their colonies in the dark, where sunlight doesn't reach. So why did they come out onto land? Their mass appearance on the shores of Lordaeron and Kalimdor shortly before the Third War wasn't a conquest. It was a panicked escape. Something in the dark depths of the ocean forced them out of their home. The main reason was the Naga, the serpentine servants of the old gods. They mercilessly exterminated and enslaved the Murlocs, forcing the scattered tribes to emerge into the shallows to aggressively fight for a new place in the sun. Having conquered a patch of beach or swamp, the Murlocs immediately begin to build their camps. At first glance, their settlements seem like just a pile of garbage, a chaotic jumble of mud, rotting seaweed, bones, and driftwood washed ashore. But from a survival standpoint, these are perfect amphibian outposts. Murloc huts are always built on stilts or elevated ground right at the water's edge to protect the dwellings from the tides. The architecture of the camp is strictly thought out. It always borders a deep body of water. This is their main escape route. If the camp is attacked by a superior force, the Murlocs instantly dive into the water, leaving the enemy with nothing. In the center of every settlement, a huge bonfire is always burning, around which the tribe gathers. And in the most protected, warm huts, their egg clutches are kept. Murlocs will defend their incubators with fanatical feral fury, sparing no thought for their own lives. What we mistake for dirty puddles with reeds are to them the sacred nurseries of future generations. It is precisely inside these camps that their complex social structure is revealed. It's commonly believed that Murlocs are dumb animals. This is a fatal mistake. They speak their own language, Mrrgglish. What sounds to us like meaningless gurgling is actually fully fledged speech with its own dialects. Each tribe is ruled by a chieftain, but true power often lies in the hands of oracles and shamans. Murlocs have a strong connection to elemental magic, especially water. Their religion is primal animism and a cult of strength. They don't worship abstract gods like the light. A Murloc worships what can kill it. If a powerful water elemental, a giant turtle, or even a faceless one servant of the old gods settles near their village, the Murlocs will immediately deify it. They'll bring it bloody sacrifices just so the cruel deity leaves them alone. As predators, Murlocs don't possess the physical strength of the Tauren or the magic of the elves. Their main weapon with which they defend their camps is their pack instinct and absolute brutality. Their anatomy is perfect for amphibious hunting. slimy skin, incredible swimming speed, and the ability to breathe underwater. They feed on fish and crabs, but will never turn down warm-blooded prey. A Murloc never fights fair. They use tactics of attrition. If you run into one Murloc, just know 5 more are watching you. They swarm you, strike with primitive spears, and throw seaweed nets. But their life in the shallows is a constant struggle. From the sea, they're constantly attacked by giant crustaceans, the Makrura, and their deep-sea cousins, the Naga, periodically raid Murloc villages, taking them into slavery. To the powerful inhabitants of Azeroth, Murlocs are simply expendable material. The environment heavily alters this race, spawning terrifying mutations. In the bottomless trenches of Vashj'ir dwell the deep-sea Murlocs, blind monsters covered in bioluminescent growths. In Northrend, the Scourge experimented on their bodies, creating Mrrggls, mindless zombie amphibians in the service of the Lich King. But amidst the savagery and gloom, there is one fact that turns our perception of this race upside down. The prime example is Sir Finley Mrrgglton. This Murloc was raised by the League of Explorers. He has perfectly mastered the common tongue, wears a suit, drinks tea with aristocratic manners, and is an outstanding scientist. The existence of Finley proves a frightening thought. Murlocs possess incredibly high intelligence. Their primal savagery, their mud camps, and their cruel customs aren't a sign of underdevelopment. This is their conscious evolutionary choice for survival in a harsh world. Murlocs are a perfect reflection of Azeroth itself. Wild, unpredictable, and incredibly resilient. While grand empires rise and fall in ashes, and cosmic threats are defeated by champions, this seemingly primitive race simply endures. They were driven out of the crushing depths of the ocean by ancient monsters, and today they are mercilessly exterminated by the armored heroes of the land. Yet, despite it all, they remain. They stubbornly continue to rebuild their muddy villages where the tide meets the shore. They are not a joke. They are true survivors who have claimed their rightful place in this harsh world. So, the next time you are wandering through a quiet marsh and you hear that funny gurgling sound, in fact, don't even bother drawing your blade. You are already surrounded. Thank you for diving into the lore with Echoes of Azeroth. If you enjoy atmospheric stories from World of Warcraft, subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments which race or location story you'd like to hear next. See you in the expanses of Azeroth.